Woo! Okay, today it's all about geoid models. Okay, back this spring, summer, I did a presentation for the Mississippi Association of Professional Surveyors, and it was about geoid models. And one thing I learned from that presentation was not a lot of people really understand geoid models. So I thought I would show you guys that presentation and try to explain it to you a little bit, and I thought that would make a great Tuesday tip. So, let's get into it. Okay, so I've got the PowerPoint that I use pulled up here on the screen. And basically, we're looking at Geoid 12B. Now, most of you know that Geoid 18 is now out. So I want to kind of explain to you some of the problems I've seen with people understanding geoid models. So first of all, a geoid model, I think I actually have a definition on here of a geoid model. Go to the next slide. Yeah, okay. Geoid is the elliptical surface which would coincide exactly with the mean ocean surface, blah, 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 blah. So, basically what this is saying is, I'm going to break it down for you to where, how I like to explain it, okay? So, I don't know that this is probably exactly true, but it's easier to understand if you think of it like this. Think of a geoid model as if you were to strip the surface of the earth off and you just had water left. Think of a geoid like that. Mean ocean surface of the earth is what the note says. So if we looked at a geoid model and said if we strip all the earth's surface off and we have the ocean, doesn't that mean sea level? Just thinking. Anyways, so a geoid model starts out that way. So now, how does the geoid model come into play? So there's some things you need to understand about geoid models and how they work. So if we look at, say, the ground, okay? And we look at Ellipsoid ND83. So I think this is where people get a little bit confused. ND83 is an ellipsoid model of the Earth. If we were to do a cross-section through the Earth, and we were going to try to match North American datum in 1983, where would that land at, right? So where would that be? What would that look like? So we want this ellipsoid of the Earth to match North America as best we can, right? So we have an ellipsoid. Now that ellipsoid necessarily isn't at ground level. That ellipsoid is a best fit across the North American continent. Right? Follow me so far? So what we need to look at is the ellipsoid can change based on horizontal datum. And that's something I think people really miss, is that your horizontal datum is tied directly to your vertical datum with GPS. You cannot have one without having the other, okay? Because they're both tied together. So let's look at ellipsoid ND83. And if we looked at Geoid 12B, so you have your geoid, you have your ellipsoid, and you have your ground. And you hear a lot of people talk about grid to ground, and we'll probably get into that in another video. But right now, just want you to understand how this geoid model works. So we have different horizontal datum, okay? So right now we have 2011, right? We have ND83 2011 datum out. We had ND83 Cores 96. We've had ND83 2007 readjusted. We've had some different horizontal datums. I want you to think of those horizontal datums as a radius point to ND83. So if you had a radius and you called that radius ND83, if I move the radius point, it's going to move that ND83 around, isn't it? If I say the center of that radius is now here, I just moved the center of the radius, right? So if I said the center of the radius was here, I just moved the center of the radius, okay? The radius has stayed the same. That hasn't changed. That's NAD83. That hasn't changed. Just the center of it. So every time we go through a datum shift, we go through, let's say, cores 96, right? So cores 96 was here. Well, what's unique about 2011 is that they went from a 7 parameter adjustment to a 14 parameter adjustment, if I remember correctly. The NGS did when they did the new datum shift. So basically, they moved the center of the radius. Okay. So as you can see here on the screen, I've got exaggerated view of NAD83 2011 and NAD83 cores 96. They're not both in the same spot. Now this is really important to understand when you're dealing with geoid models. Okay, you got to understand where that geoid model comes from. That geoid model is tied to the horizontal datum. So as I'm moving NAD83 cores 96 to NAD83 2011, not only am I moving it, I'm moving in all directions, right? It's moving 3D. So the whole thing's moving. So if I've got a geoid model tied to 2011, it's moved. But if that geoid model was tied to cores 96 and I want to use NAD83 2011, if I'm using, let me explain this better. If I'm using a geoid model that was derived from cores 96, from that radius point, that's where it was derived from. And then I go to a radius point for NAD83 2011, the radius points aren't the same. So basically what's happening is your NAD83 cores 96 center of radius isn't in the same spot as 2011. We get that, right? Well, think about that with the geoid models, because the geoid model that was designed, say 09 geoid model, and I want to try to use it with 2011 datum, the radius points don't match up, so they're not going to work. So if we go and look at this slide, I had a really good friend of mine, surveyor, that keeps immaculate notes. He's got information on points from way back. So what he did was he gave me a data sheet for this particular point that was shot. This says NAD83 2011, and I believe he also gave it to me in cores 96. Do I have that on the slide? Doesn't look like it. Okay. But I know that I have both. So what we're going to look at is we're going to look and see what the difference is in geoid models, right? Because that's a question that always come up. I hear this crazy stuff all the time about geoid models and what the separation is. So you got to understand where the ellipsoid's at and where the geoid model's at. So let's look at this real quick. So if you had Geoid 12A, ellipsoid NAD83, and the Earth's surface, if you went out with your GPS and you took a shot right there on the ground surface, that would be your information, right? Problem is that information is actually right here. You actually shot it on the ellipsoid and state plane coordinates. So it actually comes in right here. So then if we go in and we say, okay, that ellipsoid height means height above ellipsoid. So actually what that means is I'm 67.316 meters above the ellipsoid. I'm not taking a shot, my horizontal, my northing, and my westing in this case, my latitude and my longitude, they are horizontally on this point, but vertically I'm actually 67.316 meters above the ellipsoid. Is that ringing a bell? Okay, so let's look at this. Now if we said geoid, the geoid model, and I want to express the word model to you because that is a fixed number. You don't measure that. That is built in, okay? So that is 25.729 meters. Now then, how does GPS get its elevation? Well, what it actually does is it adds the two of those together. So in this case, I am a minus 25.729 meters, and I'm a plus 67.31 meters, 316 meters. So actually what I'm going to do, since I'm below the ellipsoid and above the ellipsoid, I'm going to add these two together, and that's my orthometric elevation up here, okay? So here's a little trick. when you're looking at, if you get a little deeper in towards grid to ground, this is what's happening to you, okay? So as we go towards the Earth's surface from our point, we're going like this. We're creating a V, okay? So the higher we go up with that V, the longer the distance becomes, correct? Okay. So when we look at when we're measuring those points on the ellipsoid, you can see that where those 2 points are actually measured, but I'm height above the ellipsoid, so I'm actually here. So it's telling me my horizontal position's here and how far I am above the ellipsoid, okay? So as we go higher, it becomes more of an effect. So down in Mississippi, Alabama, even and up until you get into northwest Arkansas, your elevation is so close to sea level. You're 100, 200 feet, I think maybe 300 feet in Mississippi, something like that. Maybe 400, I don't know. That's still not very high above sea level. So what happens is you can't really, because your height isn't high enough, you're really not seeing the difference. You have to go longer distance in order to start seeing the difference. So that's why people, I'm going to tell you, people in the southeast U.S. really have a hard time understanding grid to ground just because of that reason. So what I wanted to show you was, this is NAD 83 2011, and this is what was pulled off the data sheet from Opus. So my orthometric height is 333.551. Remember that, because NAD 83 Cores 96, okay, Geoid 09. Now this one up here, this one was 12A. That's how long ago it was I put this together. So that's what it gave me. There's Geoid 2009, and here's my orthometric height. And if you'll look at the two Geoid models, what you're going to notice is that we are really close to having the same numbers. We're looking at horizontally, we've got a 68.73 and a 68.82. It's almost a tenth off horizontally. And then on the northing, and the 31.93 down here at the bottom, and a 31.96 up here at the top, so it's 300. So it's a tenth by 300ths going from one datum to the other. I'm going from NAD 83 2011 to NAD 83 Cores 96. Now, why is it those numbers are actually so close together? The reason being is what the NGS is trying to do by doing all this datum change that drives everybody crazy is if I had a point, let's say that I had a coordinate on a point in the ground. Well, with tectonic plate movement, what's happening with that point is, as the ground moves, the point's moving as well. So what the NGS is trying to do is they're trying to keep this point, that coordinate for that point, as close as they can here as the ground moves, as the tectonic plates move, because we've always got movement, right? We think of subsidence down here in the southeast, you know, Mississippi and Louisiana and everything, but the big thing is you have tectonic plate movement where the actual crust of the earth is actually moving. So what the NGS is trying to do is they're trying to calculate the velocities of the tectonic plate moving and adjust these control points for us, adjust the numbers so that from year to year to year, they're pretty much the same. Now, these are Opus solutions. So if you look at an Opus solution, to me, I've always kind of looked at Opus more of a check. It's getting to be more and more mainstream to use Opus and Opus DB, where eventually probably everything's going to go to Opus. I do a lot of processing my own data, so that's just the old school part of me, and I use Opus as a check. But in this case, I want you guys to look at the accuracy between these two. So I'm actually pretty close. Now, if we go to the next slide, what I did is I switched it up. And I said 2009 on the NAD 83 2011 datum. And I said NAD 83 Cores 96, we're going to use 12A. And we're going to look and see what the difference is. So now I've got a 333.37 and a 333.71. There's quite a bit of difference there. And all I did was switch Geoid models. And I'm going to show you guys how to do this here in a second. So the orthometric height a minute ago with NAD 83 12A was 333.551. And we were really close, if you will remember, between the two. If I go back to correct, we were only, if you look at 0.55 and 0.53, we were only a couple of hundredths between each other vertically going, keeping the correct horizontal datum with the correct vertical datum, okay? Correct horizontal datum, correct vertical datum. Don't use 09 and 2011. You're wrong. I don't care if it fits your job, you did something wrong before because it's wrong. Okay? So let's jump in here and let's look at this again one more time. Orthometric height should have been 333.55. We got a 333.37. It's wrong. A 333.71. It's wrong. I'm landing in the middle between these two. I'm telling you, right horizontal datum, right vertical datum. 2009, you probably should be using Cores 96, possibly even 2007 readjusted. Once you hit 2011, you better be using, actually you should be using 12B or you should be using 18, okay? So, I think that's all I had on that for right now. So what I want to do is, I actually pulled these up, but I'm going to show you guys how to find these, okay? So let's go in. Actually, I'd go right there. Go to NOAA-NGS. That takes you to the NGS website where Opus is at and everything else. If you look here on the left-hand side, you're going to see Geodetic Toolkit, okay? So under Geodetic Toolkit, there's 12B right here, okay? Now I want to show you guys something. Let's try this. Geoid 12. Okay, this is what I wanted to show you guys. Okay, right here, this is super, super important. The Geoid 12A model is intended to transform between NAD83 2011 and respective vertical datums. Okay, is intended for NAD83 2011. Okay, Geoid 12A model is intended to transform between NAD83 and 2011, not NAD83 09 or Geoid model 2009 or anything else. It's made to work with this datum, okay? Okay, I wanted to show you that. Now I want to show you something else. So if we go and look, when you see Geoid 12A over here to the side, you say interactive computations. What that is something I'm fixing to show you. Let's go back to NGS Home. Let's go back to the Geodetic Toolkit. We're going to go to 12B, okay, Interactive Kit. So what you can do right here is we can enter in, if I pull, I'm going to slide this over to here, and I'm going to put in latitude 32, space 21, space 18.91818. Longitude is going to be 90, space 08, 58, 42216. Okay, and it's going to be a westing. So perform a single point computation. Boom. Okay, minus 26.442 meters, which I've got in U.S. survey feet over here on the other side. Anyways, you get the idea, right? That's the minus number that we were looking at a while ago. So, minus, not the same datum. Anyways, minus 26.442 datum. Okay, that's our separation between our from current slide right there. Had to find the right button. Wrong one. Okay, so that is from this geoid line to here. That's that separation, right? Okay, so that's this separation is what we're talking about from Geoid 12B to this line. So if you want to compare, get rid of that. If you wanted to compare 12B to 18, we could. So here's what we need to do. I'm going to write this down. You guys should write this down too. Minus 26.442. Okay? So I'm going to go back to if I go right here, and so I've already looked for it, Geoid 18, search, because it wasn't on that sheet, and I go to Geoid 18 Home. I go to Interactive Computations up here on the left. Latitude 30, why didn't it save it? 32, 21, 18.91, 818. Longitude is 90, 08, 58, 42216. And form geoid computation minus 26.431. Let's see what that comes out to for us that are not used to meters. So we have a 26.442 minus 26.431 times 3.28083333. Made about 400's difference between that same position between Geoid 12B and Geoid 18. So, man, hope that helps you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hope Geoid Models helped you out. Hope I helped you understand a little bit of that anyways. Can be a little confusing, but watch it about 12 times. You already have it, okay? Okay, don't forget to like and subscribe. You might ring that bell for notification. Also, that'll help you know when I put one out. And God bless. Thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate you guys watching this channel. So, take care. See you in the next one.